Hello, welcome in. I'm Jenny Glick, licensed marriage and family therapist, certified sex therapist, but for you in this space, I'm a torchbearer, guide, mentor for all things relationship that dovetail with walking a path of being awake, aware, accountable, responsible in your life. And today we're going to explore for those of you who ever wonder if you married the right person. And if you sometimes find yourself in a place where you're thinking, oh my gosh, I married the wrong person, you're probably right. And I'm going to tell you why. If this video touches you, supports you, helps you, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Okay. So if you're married or in committed relationship, I would love for you to drop a comment below and let me know if you've ever thought or wondered if you married the wrong person. And often the wrong person is a person that you feel like it's really hard to be in relationship with. You feel like they don't get you, they don't listen. One of the subscribers here shared the other day about how she feels like she's shouldering an undue burden in her life. I'll say it that way, delicately, nicely, and that her partner is mean to her, right? And so one of the things that I know from doing this work for well over 20 years with couples and families, individuals, women, is that we come together with our whoever it is that you decide to marry or be in long-term relationship or co-parent with, have children with. We come together from a place usually of immaturity. And so it's often a place of lack, not because there's anything wrong with you, not because you're not an amazing human being or, you know, the embodiment of the divine on this planet. You are, so that's extraordinary. And there's the very real human in you that has some of their own maturation to do. And we do that through, I believe, relationships with other people, through these initiatory processes in a committed relationship, in a container. So a marriage is a container, right? You put a boundary around it. It's a container where we say we're going to be in this space together and all of our stuff is going to get dumped here. So the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And if you feel like your partner is the wrong person, whatever wrong means for you, it's probably because they are mirroring back to you something that you don't want to take responsibility for, look at, own in yourself or in your life. And I'm not saying this to say that you are to blame, but the person that you were when you said I do or agreed to be in that relationship, that person believed that this person was their person in some way, shape, or form. The two of you were in a kind of emotional or spiritual contract, unspoken, that you need to work something through. And the only way you can work something through that is to live with each other, be with each other, have your words, your energy, your behaviors, your sexuality, all of that commingles, and it's going to kick up a whole lot of stuff for you. And what I see most often is that women who opt into heterosexual relationship, and I say that although I do work with women in same-sex relationships, the bulk of my clientele, like 90%, are heterosexual cisgendered couples. And so in that demographic, by and large, when we come into union with a man, there are all kinds of unspoken agreements that you are not even aware of. And when you say yes to that union, all of your unspoken agreements are going to demonstrate themselves. They're going to come to the surface of your relationship, which is why it's going to feel like that person is wrong, because now they're mean, they're intolerant, they don't want to be intimate in the same ways that you do. Whatever's coming up, right, was likely there before you said I do, and it was something that the two of you didn't have the maturity or the skills to address, right? And so marriage will ensure that whatever you were not willing to look at is going to be presented to you. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, but Jenny, that is not true. My person changed completely. Everything was hunky-dory before we moved in together, got married, or started having babies. And then all of a sudden it shifted. And if that's the case, Okay, great. And so there's a huge shift that's happening in your relationship, and now they feel like the wrong person. And the key is you standing in, you being the right person for you, following your alignment, tuning into yourself so that you can make choices that are in alignment with you being the right person. Because what happens when we believe, follow me here, that our partner is the wrong person, then I become the wrong person too. So if I feel like they're wrong, what's going to happen? Victim consciousness, belittling them. So I'm going to be a victim. If you don't know what victim consciousness is, that means making my partner wrong, saying things like, oh, he's like having another child, nothing's going to change, he doesn't pick up after himself, right? Like I'm a victim to him. So he's the wrong person, and now you become a wronged person, right? And then you're in this dance, this tug of war with this person, and you can stay there for years or decades. I have a program for that. It's $222, super affordable. Link is below. If you want to check it out, it'll walk you out of that. Anyway, so in that dynamic, what's happening quite literally is you drop into a kind of frequency, because when they're wrong, you're wronged. And a wronged person is a victim. And when you're a victim to their wrong, right, you're going to stay in that loop of blaming, of shaming, of anger, of frustration, of hopelessness and helplessness, of building a team around you where all of the girlfriends can decide that this person's wrong as well. That's not what we do in my communities, because in my communities, it's about 100% responsibility. It's also about boundaries. And so if you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, but my partner does these really horrible, atrocious things, girl, get a boundary. Like, boundaries are important and useful. If I'm standing in front of somebody and they're punching me in the face, my mindset doesn't really matter. I get to say, if you do that again, I'm leaving. And I know people have very strong feelings about ultimatums. That's an ultimatum, right? And there are lots of more delicate ways to do it than what I just said, but I'm just going to say that anyway, because an ultimatum is a very clear boundary, right? And it's important for us to know that we get to have that clarity. And if you find yourself in a situation with someone where you don't feel safe, your safety is number one, right? And so exploring how it is that you promote unsafety in yourself is valuable, to see where it is that I have poor boundaries. And again, this isn't about it's your fault, right? None of this is about fault or blame. That's a particular frequency that I choose not to play in because it's not useful, right? It's not useful to you or your partner or to me, but rather to recognize that you have dominion over your thinking, your feeling, your doing, and your believing. Those four things create your energetic signature. So they create how it is and who it is that you show up as in the world. And until you become super aware of how your energetic frequency, your thinking, feeling, doing, and believing, create a kind of character in your life, and that character is going to look for a character match. So it's like two characters, two actors on a stage, right? And so this person that you're with that you feel like is the wrong person, right? They are some kind of energetic match with you. This does not have anything to do with blame. It means that they're showing up in you and for you something that apparently you need to be with. Otherwise, you would not be there, right? And at some point when you are finished with that, you will be finished with that and you will decide something else, or they will change, or something will happen, right? I've been doing this work long enough to know that something is in our life until we're complete with it. And when you're complete with it and you become the right person, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So you moving yourself into the frequency, which is thinking, feeling, doing, and believing, an energetic signature of whatever the right person is, right? So the truth is you have to be the right person for yourself first. And a right person is a balanced person. It's a person who has healthy feminine energy and masculine energy. I have other videos about that, so you can check those out. It's a person who has boundaries. It's a person who who knows how to create safety for themselves so that they can be in intimate partnership. It's a person who knows what her yes is and what her no is and can say no even when that potentially disappoints someone, trusting that the people in her life are able to be disappointed without her being exiled from her life, right? So your right person in you, right? It starts in you. You being the right person for you, which is a healthy, vibrant version of you where you are literally embodying fully your truth, the truth of who you are, as one of my mentors calls it. And when you are embodying that truth, then what can happen is another person who's more of a match will be attracted to that person, and you naturally will not be magnetizing people or situations that create all kinds of disharmony. That said, shit happens in the world, right? So you can be all about, I don't like the term high vibe or anything like that, but you can be in a lot of coherence, a lot of harmony with yourself, and then whatever you like to call it, bad stuff happens. It's not bad. It's just, difficult things, difficult people, your house might get robbed, you might, whatever. And I don't believe any of that has to do with blame. It's just this world that we live in where we live with a lot of contrast, right? And contrast is just good and bad, white and black, up and down. So we can only know down when we know up. You can only know the right version of you when you know the wrong version. So if you feel like your partner is the wrong person, probably you're showing up with a lot of disharmony in yourself and it doesn't feel good. And that's giving you really important information on what does feel good and what it would be like for you. So here's an invitation for you as home play, I like to call it instead of homework, as home play for you to notice what it's like for you to commit deeply to you feeling good. What is it like for you to stay in a state or a resonance of being satisfied, right? That's a word that I like to use with women because a lot of women can walk around bitter, gripped, clenched, judgmental of themselves, of other people, right? In this torqued place. And when you're in that torqued place, it's really easy to see your partner as wrong or bad or not enough because you're dissatisfied. Rather, if you come back and start creating the conditions, a container for safety, for relaxation, for healing in yourself, then you can decide about your relationship in a way that feels mature and where you can see your relationship is offering you an opportunity to initiate yourself, to self-initiate into a version of you where you listen to your inner knowing, you listen to what feels good and right, and you follow that. So if you have any questions about this, I would love to field them below. So drop a comment, a question, like, subscribe, follow. So glad you're here, and I look forward to seeing you next time. If you